Here's a little project I've been thinking about doing for a while. It's building as near as I can without spending a crazy amount of money. A replica of the red Special Guitar, which was built by Brian May of Queen back when he was a young fella. So I'm hoping that I can produce something that can come close to his guitar design. So I've been searching the net for a while, and I found quite a few people have plans for it. Obviously, to buy the proper plans you need to purchase them. I've just used pictures that people have uploaded to come up with the design, and then some of the specs from the Brian May guitar website for the radius of the neck. I know it's 610mm from the bridge to the nut, and the length of the guitar. A few other specs he's got on there. There was also a chap who did a restoration from Sydney of the original guitar, and he's put some fairly detailed specs and pictures of the internals of the guitar. So I'm trying to replicate that as much as possible without spending a super amount of money. So looking at the guitar here, that's my drawing so far. So we'll just start to remove some things. So these, I've called these pickup outers. They I think they're all made of plastic, but I'm going to probably mill them out of wood and just paint them all up nice and shiny. So we'll just switch them off. So that leaves that. And we've got the pick guard here. If I switch that off, it shows the the knobs. I've purchased from eBay a couple of Fender chrome or silver knobs here. We'll just use those ones for the time being. You can purchase replicas of what was used on the Red Special, but again they're super expensive, so I'll just use some chrome ones. So we'll switch those ones off. The cavity in here, I've just sort of guesstimated at the minute. I know the original guitar had a cavity right along here, and all this was clear. And he had some posts here to do his wiring, so I may copy something like that, I'm not sure yet. If I take out extra wood here, it'll obviously reduce the weight of the body of the guitar, which may be worthwhile doing. But yeah, so I've just put a cavity in there for that. Pickup holes are too deep, I know that, so we'll lift those up. The Trisonic pickups that are on the original guitar, I think you can buy them for about £200 or something or other. You can buy knockoffs from China, but I don't know what they're like, and they're probably not wired right, and probably got the wrong gauge wire, and probably got the wrong magnets. They look right, but they're probably all wrong, so I'm not sure. You can buy parts from the UK for the magnets, for the original pickups. I've done a bit of research into winding pickups, but I've never done one. In fact, I haven't built a guitar in years. I built a good bass guitar about 35 years ago, I think. So this will be my second guitar. So what a better guitar to start with, huh? Such a pretty looking guitar, this one. Now the bridge I'm using is a Wilkinson Bridge. As I said, you can't buy the one that's on the Red Special unless you're willing to spend a lot of money for a reproduction of what Brian May made all those years ago. So a Wilkinson Bridge. We'll just switch off this back plate here. Bridge backing plate I've called it. And obviously there's nothing there. If I switch off the Wilkinson Bridge, so this block is attached to the bottom of the Wilkinson Bridge. I've just guesstimated the holes there. They're probably a lot smaller than that. And I'm presuming there's a couple of bolts holding this block in place. Now, this entire block is 40mm deep. Now, the entire Brian May guitar is 40mm deep. So I've had to make this one about 43 just to provide that extra space at the bottom here for the back cover plate, I've called it. So there's enough room. Usually there's springs that run down here, 3 or 4 springs to keep the tension on this, which is attached do the Wilkinson Bridge, which of course keeps tension on the springs. And there's a whammy bar that comes out of here. Now if I go with that, I've got to have quite a large cavity under here for the springs, which means that I can't bring the neck down any further than this. So this is the neck. It slots into the guitar. On the red Special, there's a bolt underneath the fretboard here that comes out through here, and then a nut holds it in place here. And there's a couple of screws here, 2 screws here. Only this would be down here. But if I do that, then I've got like 5mm of wood for those screws to screw into, which is just not sufficient. So I won't do that. I've dropped it short. Apart from that, I've got the bolt through here. So we'll just switch off the binding, which I'm going to put on it. So I should be able to mill all this nice and easily, and then glue on the binding. We'll switch off the bridge. Bridge is off. And we'll switch off the block. And so it's a hole straight through there. If we look at the neck of the guitar, now the neck, yeah, Brian May's neck is pretty thick. I'm not sure if I want to go that thick. I've made a thinner neck here. I might go true to the design and redraw it. I've got a 4-degree angle on the head here. I've got a 9.5, I think it was a 9.4 radius here, all the way along the board. So I'll mill my own fretboard and put my own frets in there. Looked at a few videos of that, and I should be able to do that okay. I've got a plasma cutter, so I might make a couple of tools to press these in place, just using my drill press with a correct piece of metal over these, and with a groove ground in it. I can make a press, I'm fairly certain of that. I'll just switch off the fretboard and the nut. So switch off the nut. Frets on the fretboard, they're gone. I'll switch off the fretboard and the nut. So that's what it'll look like without the fretboard on it. And I'll CNC, I've ordered a 440mm long truss rod to go down in here, so we'll fit that one. I'll switch off the body of the guitar now. So that's what that looks like so far. There'll be a bolt sticking out here, which will be permanently stuck in here with a fretboard on top of it. This part here slots inside the body of the guitar. If I switch it on, you can see it slots inside it. It's the same as what is on the red Special. So if I turn off the neck, show you the slot there. So what I'm probably going to, I've been thinking of a way to carry this on down to here. So I don't know if it's going to work, but I figure I'll just make one of these, like I said, out of plywood, and just make a sample first and see what I can do. So my plan is the Wilkinson Bridge, I do believe, sits here, and I think it's got 3 or 4 bolts. I don't know yet. I've ordered one online. It hasn't arrived yet. Holding the block in place. So the block attaches to the bottom of it, I hope. So that's the Wilkinson block. Now what I'm thinking of doing is making my own block, drilling the holes again through here, and putting some holes through here, so it would look more like that. I'll get rid of the body so you can see it. So it would have holes through it there. Artifacts there, I'll delete. Which is what sort of Brian May's done on his, and then he also has some springs and bolts. So I'd have to attach these bolts to a bit of metal, which I could then screw onto the body of the guitar and put some nuts here. So in effect I'm changing the length of the original block is that long. I'd change the length of the block, and then I could reduce the depth of the guitar to 40 millimeters as it's supposed to be, and still have it functional. So I'm copying Brian May's design here, putting springs on it, and then what I would end up with is a body with a cavity here and no cavity at the bottom. How the strings go in, I'm not exactly sure yet. I may be able to drill some sort of entry on this side with holes to go up and then just push the strings up through here. Otherwise I'd have to undo these bolts, take out the whole thing, or alternatively I could just put some holes through the bottom. But I really don't want to do that, so that's the plan. And then what that does is it gets rid of the cavity here, so I could bring this neck right back to here, which is where it goes on the original Red Special, and then have the bolts here, and they would obviously be biting into timber as I screw it in. I'm just going to make it out of a solid piece of wood. I'm not going to go doing layers as was done on the original guitar. So that's sort of the plan. I don't know if it's going to work. So I'd bolt that on top, put the bolts down here. I think there's room there to do all that. And then the back plate would be covering that hole there, which is exactly what's on the Red Special. The guitar would have just the one hole there with the bolts. The neck would come right down to here, as I said. Yeah, so that's my plan. I don't know if I can actually pull it off, but I'm going to give it a go. I may make the neck bigger yet, because my neck is quite thin here. It's same as the Fender, as that's sort of what I've been messing around with, just a replica Fender. I've only got cheap crappy guitars here, but and I can't play a guitar very well. I'm learning, so this is fun. I figure if I own my own guitar that I made, I'll maybe put more effort into it. So yeah, on the Red Special, it's thicker here. I think this is 21mm from the top of the fretboard to the bottom of the neck here, and I think Brian May's is much thicker than that. I may thicken it up just to make it more authentic. It really doesn't bother me any, because I'm not used to any guitar, so I might as well get used to playing on my own guitar once it's built. Yeah, so there you go. If anyone's got any feedback as to trisonic pickups, where I could get some of them, I guess that'd be nice. Interestingly, I've been reading the restoration, and the chap that did it, he's talking about the magnetism of the magnets, and he says the first one is north, so the north one faces up. Next one he gives us the south Gauss reading, the magnetism, and the next one is a north reading, but there's an arrow facing down. So that leads me to believe, I don't know if it's true or not, but he's got two south facing poles here. And from what I understand is Brian took the case off this coil and magnet so that it would it basically behaves differently, which is what everyone talks about, the Brian May guitar sound effect. But I've always thought this would have been north, north, south. But there's an arrow pointing down on the north, and I'm thinking, does this pickup go down? So if anyone has any information on that one, that'd be nice to know, because I just put it down, and like I said, I haven't got any pickups yet. I'm toying with the idea of buying the parts and making them, even though I've never made a pickup. Never made a Red Special before. It's been a long time since I've had a go, but I'm fairly skilled on the CNC machines. And I've made replicas of other bits and pieces, Batman's motorbike and costumes for various things and pieces, so I don't mind having a go at these things, but yeah. So there's my current project. Let's put the fretboard back on it. Let's put the frets back on it. frets on the board. I think that's everything that I've done to date on the drawing. So yeah, still a few things I need to sort out. Once the bridge arrives, as to whether or not I need to put an angle here on the neck. I'm not sure. I think on the Brian May guitar he had one, but then he may have had a different size bridge. I'm not sure whether or not I can keep this flat straight along here. I'm uncertain yet. Anyway, there's my plans so far. Once I've got a bit of plywood, I might mill this body shape, and once the bridge arrives, hopefully it'll have a few bolts and I can take it apart, and then take it apart, remove the original block, make my own block here, put some holes in it like this, a metal plate to hold this. I'll probably just have an L-shaped bracket with holes drilled in it, or I'll weld these on, I'm not sure yet, and have nuts on the end to adjust the tension on the springs. Uncertain yet. And that'll just be bolted to the bottom of the guitar there, to the guitar body. But yeah. Anyway, hobbies are fun.